6. Balance Beam of Death. Eric.
I dive forward, leaping for Ash. I grunt as I hit the platform. The metal of the rusted railroad grinds into my ribcage. My arm lands on a half-rotted tie which crumples upon impact. Splinters stab through my long-sleeve shirt. I barely feel the pain. I reach out with both hands, eyes fixating on Ash's blue backpack and black hair. One hand tangles in the matted ponytail on top of her head. The other digs into the lightweight fabric of the pack. Ash screams in terror as she dangles above the zombie-infested waters. The zombies below us go nuts. The water churns, and they push and shove at one another. A few of them even manage to climb on top of their brethren. Arms extended skyward, their keens slice the air.
"Help me!"
Ash cries. I form a fist with both hands, throwing every ounce of willpower into holding on to her. I should care that I'm pulling her hair, but I don't give a shit. If I don't hang on, Ash is zombie bait. Hold on. Caleb lunges forward to help me. Several planks give way, crumbling beneath our combined weight. Caleb goes down, one leg plunging through the opening. He scrabbles, grabbing onto the side of the metal rail to keep from sliding all the way into the hole. No such luck for me. As I cling to Ash, wood splinters and snaps beneath my ribcage. "Ash!" I shout. "Grab the boards! Reach up and grab the boards!" She's too panicked to make sense of my words. Her feet kick. Her hands flail. She doesn't do a single thing that might save her life. "Ash!" My body is sliding. All I can see is Ash's black hair and blue running pack. All I can hear is her screaming and the manic keening of the zombies below us. All I can feel is the inexorable pull of gravity and the groaning, splitting boards beneath me. I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die! Gotcha! Reed is suddenly above me, both feet braced against the railroad. He hangs on to the enormous bloody hotel blanket strapped to my back, teeth gritted as he struggles with the combined weight of me and Ash. Ben appears at his side, grabbing another handful of the bloody hotel blanket. Holy shit! I never thought that nasty thing might save my life. "Ash!" Kate drops to her stomach in front of Ash, extending both arms into the opening. "Grab my hands!" With a sob, Ash reaches up. Kate grabs her wrists. She tugs, but she doesn't have enough leverage. Caleb has managed to extract himself from the rotting boards. He darts in, dropping to his knees and reaching for Ash. He yanks, pulling one of Ash's arms into view. The weight of her ponytail slackens in my hand as Kate and Caleb haul her up. As she's dragged out of my grasp, I'm treated to a front-row seat of the River of Doom. If possible, the zombies are even more crazed than they were 30 seconds ago. All I see are white eyes, frothing water, outstretched arms, and gnashing teeth. All that separates me from certain death are Ben, Reed, and the stupid hotel blanket. Oh, and 2 rotted planks beneath my chest that I can feel crumbling. It's like feeling death reach for you, splinter by splinter. At least it will be quick. The thought flashes through my mind. Die on impact. That would be the best way to go. Just get it over with. "We got you, dude." Reed's voice is strained. A ferocious jerk. I find myself sprawled across the tracks, metal rails digging into my hip and forearm. I pant for breath, hardly believing I'm alive. If my brother were here, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't recognize the maniac who just saved a girl from falling off a bridge. No one speaks. I turn my head, taking stock to make sure we haven't lost anyone. Ash, Caleb, and Kate are in a bundle, the three of them holding tight to each other. Reed and Ben are sprawled beside me. With a grunt, I roll over. My ribs ache from where they'd landed on the track. I hope I didn't crack one. And again, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to roll over if I'd cracked a rib. Healthy ribs, I tell myself. The ribs are just fine. No one here is running an ultra with cracked ribs, right? Is that even possible? Damn. I hold up my hand and find a knot of black hair tangled in the fingers of my right hand. Sorry, Ash. I think I pulled out half your hair. She rolls a wide-eyed look in my direction.
You can have it,
she says flatly. Ben wheezes, and keeps wheezing. It takes me a minute to realize he's laughing. It's the second time I've heard him laugh in less than 24 hours. Kate really is good for him.
That's a little disturbing,
Caleb declares.
I like it better when you're a grumpy old man.
God damn. Ben gets to his feet, still chuckling. I thought we were all zombie food. Fuck me. It feels good to be alive. He flashes a squinty-eyed grin at Kate. I've seen him do this a few times. Seeing Ben smile is sort of like seeing a tutu on a pineapple. It's just weird, and maybe a little creepy. But whatever. A slow smile spreads across Kate's face as she locks eyes with Ben. The bond between them is unmistakable, even though it took them forever to get together. I always figured Kate held back because she was worried Ben might die on her. Hell, after losing Lila, I can personally recommend not getting too attached in the apocalypse. A familiar ache settles into my chest as Lila's dark eyes flash across my memory.
Fuck your stupid pot brownies. They're just making you fat, you fat ass.
I miss her insults. I miss everything about her. Fuck your stupid stinky weed balm, I mutter, doing my best to fight the pinch of despair in my chest. I stare up at the sky, seeing the profile of her face in a puffy gray cloud. The beauty above me is at odds with the keening and moaning below me.
Everyone okay?
Kate sweeps her eyes across us. There are times when I wonder how Kate deals with all of us, how she finds it within herself to love us all so much. It's like her heart doesn't have a bottom. "Okay, Mama," Reed says.
Yep, we're all in one piece,
Caleb adds. "Let's get the fuck off this bridge," Ben says. "I don't need a second heart attack today." He turns his back on us, picking his way down the tracks. Reed pulls me to my feet, slapping me on the shoulder. "Good thing you have the zombie blanket," he says. "Damn thing got stuck between two boards. I don't think I would have gotten to you in time if not for that." A chill pebbles my arms. "Thanks, Reed." I meet his eyes, so he knows I mean it. "Course, dude. You're my brother. I wasn't going to let you fall into the river of death." He turns, making his way down the bridge. "I hope you're up to date on your tetanus shot." It takes me a second to digest his comment. Then I notice the long tear across the front of my shirt, the skin bloody and abraded. Bits of rust cling to the wound. Fuck. I rack my brain as I make my way down the bridge, trying to recall the last time I had shots. I vaguely recall getting a physical in high school for something, but I'd been so stoned the memory is insubstantial. Ash falls in behind me.
Eric?
Yeah? I don't turn around. After our last close call, I don't intend to take my eyes off the bridge.
You're a fucking superhero. Thank you.
I can't help the grin that spreads across my lips. A fucking superhero. I'll take it. Anytime. Just don't make it a point of falling through bridges. I'm not sure we'll get so lucky a second time. I owe you one. Caleb grips my shoulder. Next time I score a bottle of booze on a scavenging run, it's yours. I'll take you up on that. I pause, studying a gap in the bridge. I inch to the left, picking my way over the narrowest part of the gap. That's when I catch another glimpse down into the river. If possible, it looks like there are even more zombies in the water. I pause, squinting through the opening. My eyes follow a snaking line of zombies through the water all the way back to shore. My stomach falls into my feet. The line doesn't stop at the shore. That's when I recall all the noise we made when the bridge broke beneath us. The yelling, the screaming. We'd announced our presence to every undead in Bragg's. A pack of zombies masses at the edge of the southern bluff that leads down to the river. One by one, the zombies step over the edge, plummeting to the hard ground below. The fall would kill a human, and it does incapacitate some of the zombies, breaking their legs or their bodies so badly they can't move. But at least half of them stagger to their feet and wade into Pudding Creek, drawn by the keening of their fellows. The keening isn't isolated to the water. A second chorus of keens goes up, this time in front of us. Several dozen zombies have massed at the gate on the far end of the bridge. They rattle the cage and gnash their teeth, their ruined bodies straining to reach us.
Seven. Recording. Kate. I stare at the zombies on the other side of the chain-link fence at the southern end of the bridge. Their pallid, bloody faces and white eyes swamp my vision. Their snapping teeth and high-pitched moans pierce my ears. The sight of them brings my anger to a boil. All I want to do is save my friend from a psychotic drug dealer, I snarl. Is that so much to ask? I take in the scene before me, calculating our odds of fighting our way through the pack. No way. There are too many of them. And there are more and more zombies coming every second, drawn by the frenzy of their brethren. The chain-link fence extends a good 15 feet on either side of the bridge, creating a convenient safety net for the zombies. If not for that, they'd probably walk right over the edge. As far as I can tell, there are no alphas. None of the zoms has the telltale cluster around them, nor are any of them making those strange clicks and keens that function as zombie language.
This might be an opportune time to use one of Medieval John's grenades,
Reed suggests. I shake my head. We can't risk it with the bridge. Besides, we drew enough zombies with the shouting. I gesture to the large clump of them a quarter-mile away. Any firepower we use will bring the rest of them down on us. As I stand there, struggling to come up with a plan that won't get us all killed, my gaze once again drifts to the open cliffside no more than a quarter-mile away. I watch two zombies walk right over the edge, keening all the way down until they're silenced on the shoreline below.
If only that fence wasn't there,
Ben mutters.
the whole pack would eventually walk right over the edge. We'd just have to wait them out.
That's it. I spin around to face him, mind racing as a plan forms.
What's it?
Ben narrows his eyes at me. I'm going to drive them over the side. I unclip my pack and pull out the precious tape recorder with the AlphaZom recording. It's small, no more than 4 inches tall and 6 inches wide. Using my belt, I secure it to my waist. Eric, give me your blanket. I strap my running pack back into place and face the fence.
Kate, what are you doing?
Caleb asks. I'm going over. Alone, I add, seeing angry red creep up Ben's neck. I'll use the AlphaZom recording to drive them over the edge of the cliff. The protest is instantaneous.
The fuck you are?
Ben snaps.
No way, Mama.
Reed says.
You're not going over alone.
We should go together.
Eric adds. No. I shake my head. There's only one AlphaZom recording. I'll clear the way, and the rest of you can follow. There are over 36 zombies out there. Ash waves both arms at the zoms for emphasis. You can't take them on by yourself with nothing more than a tape recorder. We've tested this, I say. At Creekside, remember? We played it in the megaphone from the roof. Ben grinds his teeth.
We haven't tested it in battle, Kate. Testing it from the safety of a rooftop isn't the same thing as what you're proposing.
Eric frowns as another 3 zombies join the growing crowd.
Just stand at the fence and play it. That should do the trick.
No, I shake my head. Driving them back from the gate isn't enough. If something goes wrong, there's too many of them. I need to create a safe path for the rest of you.
This is as crazy as the acid brandy plan,
Eric says.
Yeah, but that worked.
Caleb's words silence everyone. I take advantage of the pause. Caleb is right. This will work. You guys just have to trust me. I make it a point not to look at Ben. Out of the corner of my eye, I see his face growing a deeper shade of red. I don't blame him. I'd be pissed if this were his idea, or if he were the one going out into the horde of zombies. Ben manages to restrain himself for a full 20 seconds.
Are you listening to yourself?
He bursts out, grabbing my shoulder and spinning me around.
You're going to get yourself killed.
I look him steadily in the eye. The worry etched into his features touches something deep inside me. I force all emotion from my face. I got us into this mess. I'm going to get us out.
We can go back.
He flings an arm back in the direction of the hotel.
We'll go the long way around.
I take his hand. If this doesn't work, we'll go back. Okay? Ben fumes, glaring down at me even as his hand squeezes mine. Then he jerks me forward, squashing me against his chest.
If you get yourself killed, I'm going to fucking kill you. Understand?
I press my cheek against him. Deal.
Dude, that didn't even make sense.
I feel Ben lift one arm and assume he's giving Reed the middle finger. I break away, rising up on my toes to press a kiss to his cheek. Just be ready to haul ass over that fence as soon as I clear the way. Okay? The skin around his eyes crinkles with worry, but he gives me a tight nod of agreement. He doesn't like the plan, but he'll follow me anywhere. Everyone else huddles in a tight group, eyes flicking between me and the zombies. They're counting on me to save them. I can't let them down. I face the zombies and hit the play button. The familiar clicks and keens come out of the speaker. The 36 zombies still, heads cocking in eerie synchronicity. Then, one by one, They fall back from the fence. They hiss and growl, white eyes rolling. They hunch over as though being driven by a whip. As soon as they begin to clear out, I throw the blanket over the barbed wire and grab the cold metal fence. Making sure the volume on my tape recorder is turned up to full blast, I scale upward as quietly as I can. The zombies let up a collective moan. I freeze, poised on top of the fence. They continue to retreat. I drop lightly to the ground, heart thudding. Separating me from 36 zombies is no more than an 8-foot swath. I edge to the right. The sound from the recorder widens the opening around the zombies. I silently thank Johnny for having the foresight to loop the recording. In one hand, I draw my zombat, a gift from Jesus. In the other hand, I wield the recorder like a lifeline. The rubber soles of my running shoes are silent on the hard-packed dirt. I advance on the zombies, steadily pushing them in the direction of the cliff. My breath saws in and out of my lungs. Every bodily instinct urges me to turn and run. I curl my toes, forcing myself to advance on the zombies. Inch by inch, they stumble away from me, herded ever closer to the cliff that will drop them into Pudding Creek. Just another few steps. The first zombie keens as it steps over the edge and plummets downward. There is a satisfying thud as its body hits the ground. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Ben and the others making their way toward the fence. I keep my focus on the zombs. Another few steps. 2 more zombies go over the side. By now, I'm close enough to the edge to see when they hit the bottom. One explodes in a bloody mess on a rock outcropping. The other lands in the water, hitting several other zombies as it does. The water froths with blood and body parts. The mass of zombies beneath the bridge is bigger than ever, their numbers swelling from the large amount of undead who have already walked over the cliff, along with those drawn from farther upstream who had been in the water. I return my attention to the zombies in front of me, advancing on them with the recording. 3 more go over the side, then another 2. Then silence blares out from the tape recorder. The recording is over. Shit. I hit rewind, cold sweat breaking out along my back and neck as the zombies mill around in confusion. A few of them snarl and scent the air. I wave my free hand at my companions, signaling for them to stop. Ben and Caleb are already over the top of the fence. Eric and Reed freeze in their tracks, clinging to the chain links. The rewind button on the tape recorder clicks off. The tiny noise has every zombie snarling, faces turning to home in on me. Heart pounding, I push play. Ben and Caleb reach me, flanking me on either side with weapons drawn. The voice of the alpha zom once again washes over the zombies. Their snarls fade into grunts and hisses of confusion. They retreat, hunched over and growling in meek postures. Reed and Eric continue up and over the fence. I pick up the pace, advancing on the zombies. Another handful goes over the cliff. The sound of them hitting the rocks and the water is satisfying. I jerk my chin at Ben in a silent order. Go. He glares at me. I repeat the motion. Caleb grabs his arm. The 2 of them fall back with the rest of the group just as Ash drops down over the fence. Go! I mouth the word. Go! They go, but not fast enough. They move at a fast walk, every last one of them keeping their eyes on me. Shit. I want them off and running away from these monsters in case anything goes wrong, but it's clear they don't intend to leave me behind. Another few steps. Another zom goes over the side. That's right, I think, pursuing the zombies as they stumble back from me. Over the edge, you fuckers. Another few steps. A long, high-pitched keen slices the air, overpowering the small speaker in my tape player. A chill crawls up my spine. Out of the mass of zombies farther inland, an alpha emerges from the crowd. It wears muddy jeans and a baggy sweatshirt with a San Francisco Giants logo on it. Standing there, head cocked in my direction, it lets up another keen. Fuck. I'm no expert on Alpha Zom language, but I'm pretty sure that one just said hello to me. I've seen multiple alphas on the move before, functioning as a unit. Apparently, I've just nabbed the attention of one, and now it's coming my way. A large group of zombies in tow. I'd wanted to get rid of 36 zombies. Now I've managed to get the attention of twice that number. This is what Ben meant by battle testing. The alpha recording is apparently not a get-out-of-jail-free card. As if things couldn't get worse, the clouds decide to let loose the rain they've been holding on to all morning. Cold droplets pierce my clothes and hit the top of my head. Shit! My small pack of zombies spins in confusion, heads pinging back and forth between me and the new alpha. A few of them are already straying away in its direction. I take another few desperate steps forward, driving a few more over the cliff. There's no more than a dozen remaining now. The new alpha is 100 yards away and closing. It continues to keen and click. A hand closes around my right biceps. It's Ben. The look in his eyes is urgent. I shake my head, determined to get rid of as many of these zombies as I can. The last thing I want to do is leave them for the new alpha to scoop up. I drag him forward with me, watching another 2 zombies plummet over the side. Another 3 zombies stagger off in the direction of the new alpha. The new horde is closing in, no more than 75 yards away. There are only 6 zombies remaining. I give Ben a look. He nods. We charge forward just as the tape recorder once again goes silent, the track running out for a second time. Damn it! I slam one foot into a zombie, sending it stumbling backward over the cliff. I swing upward, my zombat taking a second zombie in the nose. Its face crumples beneath the impact. Beside me, Ben straightens, yanking his knife free from the zombie at his feet. The last 3 from my pack have staggered off in the direction of the new alpha. We turn and run in the direction of our companions. They stand in a tight cluster 100 yards up the coastline, waving frantically at us. Rain pelts down. It's not the persistent drizzle that followed us for almost the entire length of the Lost Coast Trail. This is a pounding, relentless torrent that soaks through our clothes in seconds and turns the ground to mud. I hunch over as I run, trying to shield the tape recorder with my body.
"You are so goddamn fucking crazy," Ben huffs. "You're going to make me lose my mind. I'd say you'd better not ever do anything like that again, but you wouldn't listen."
He's right. I'd risk myself all over again to save him and the others. Instead of replying, I grab his free hand and hang on to it as we run. Eight. Sand. Kate. I fumble the ziplock with cold fingers, sliding the tape recorder back inside. What I wouldn't give for a dry bag and a towel. The black, shiny plastic is damp, and I have no way to dry it. I can only hope the little droplets won't damage it. A look over my shoulder shows the Alpha Zom closing in on the zombies we killed near the bridge. We have to move. No one argues. Though I know they're all feeling the pain of having run over 30 miles in such a short time frame. We're exhausted and aching. We run anyway. I lead them through the storm, putting distance between us and the horde. We run through the blond coastal grasses that bow under the force of the wind. To our right is the Pacific Ocean. To our left, past the open grass and the line of gnarled cypress trees, is a row of homes lining the frontage road. Zombies wander the area between the two. We give them a wide berth. A half-mile ahead of us looms a parking lot. A banner hangs limp in the rain, one side having been ripped from the pole that held it up. It ripples in the storm, sporting the image of a whale printed in black ink. I'd forgotten about the whale festival. I slow, scanning the parking lot through the gray mist. The others cluster around me, studying the obstacle course in front of us.
"Of course there are zombies," Ash mutters. "We can't catch a break."
Yep. Throughout the hard-packed dirt parking lot are zombies. Lots of them. They wander aimlessly in the rain. If the lot had been any closer to Pudding Creek, no doubt they would have been drawn there by the frenzy. I see what I suspect is an alpha. A tall zombie woman stands off to one side. It makes no sound, but at least a dozen other zombs make small circles around her. I make a decision. We're too tired to fight and too tired to manage a prolonged sprint. And my alpha recording will just attract the attention of the alpha. We're going around. Ash lets her shoulders sag, some of the tension and worry sliding away.
Thank God. I wasn't up for another fight.
Everyone else exhales in relief. Except for Ben. He is the only one who doesn't 100% approve of my plan. I can tell by the wrinkle on his brow as he takes in the scene.
"Going around will put us closer to those houses."
He jerks his thumb at the row of little cottages that dot the east side of the frontage road.
"I'm not sure that's a better option. Lots of zombs wandering around."
"We're not going around on the east side. We're going down there." I point out toward the ocean. Soft moans pepper the air, and they're not from zombies. I ignore them. There are no good choices in front of us. All I can do is pick the least dangerous of them. If possible, my people look even more defeated. It's possible none of them will think of the beach in a positive light ever again. "I don't suppose you'd agree to trying our luck in one of those pretty houses?" Ash asks. I shake my head. That alpha and the pack from the river are too close. I don't want to get boxed between them and those zombs ahead in the parking lot. I promise we'll stop for food and clothing before we leave Bragg's, just as soon as we get past these hordes. I turn, heading toward the tall cliff that overlooks the ocean. Reaching the edge, I pause to look down. There is no official trail leading down to the water, but the locals have carved their own path. My eyes pick out a haphazard trail in the side of the cliff. It's partially overgrown with coastal succulents. Other parts are covered with slides of earth from heavy rains. Despite that, it's still discernible.
"You want us to go down that?"
Eric stares at me.
"There's no trail."
"There's a trail," I assure him. "We're going to follow the coastline and bypass the town and the festival. Come on." At that exact moment, the rain decides to double its efforts. Gritting my teeth, I step onto the trail. I lead them through the slippery ice plant, a succulent that grows all over the Californian coastline. In the summer, large pink and yellow blooms adorn the plants. Today, the rain makes their rubbery leaves slippery. The ground is saturated. Water pools on the flatter areas of the man-made trail. I don't even try to circumvent them. What would be the point when my feet are already soaked? I step right through them, pushing ever closer to the beach below. The wind whips around our bodies, carrying the rain with it. The ocean drums against the shore, an incessant pounding. I slip on the ice plant, landing hard on my hip. Caleb grabs my elbow and helps me up. His face is set into a determined mask. I give him a nod of thanks before pushing onward. As we near the bottom of the cliff, the trail disappears into a tangle of boulders heaped along the shoreline. We're forced to scramble over them. Eric slips and skins his knee, but never complains. At last, finally, we reach the beach. The sand is a mottled blend of light brown and tawny grains interspersed with dark boulders. Ahead, through the shifting mist, are wandering zombies. I can't get a count at this distance, but there can't be more than a dozen, and they're spread out. As long as we stay quiet, we can pick them off. I draw my knife and club. Weapons out. Teams of 2. Caleb and Ash fall in together, as do Reed and Eric. Ben joins me at the front of the line. We snake forward with our weapons ready. Even before the apocalypse, I never liked running in sand. We've had our fair share of it on this trip. Hell, I still have sand in my shoes and clothes from the Lost Coast. I move at a hard walk, not wanting to burn through precious energy trying to run on a surface that isn't conducive to running. The first zombie comes into view. It's a lone man in a faded t-shirt with Tiva sandals. I signal to Ash and Caleb. They peel away to dispatch it. Another 50 yards in front of us is a cluster of 3 zombs and a decomposing body. They look like they'd been in the middle of a picnic when all hell broke loose. Their blanket is nothing more than a dirty mound on the ground. The picnic basket is on its side, contents strewn across the beach. It's only because they're close to the cliff face that the ocean hasn't managed to pull all the contents out to sea. I gesture to Ben. This group is ours. As we approach, we find the remains of 2 couples. The women had once been nicely outfitted in cute maxi dresses. They're now ripped and stained with blood. Near the picnic basket is a decomposing body of a man in khaki shorts. His head and torso are gone, only his legs remaining. The final man, this one undead, wears loafers and his own pair of khaki shorts. He wanders in small circles with the 2 women. They stay near the half-eaten body of the person who had once been their friend. Between the pounding of the rain and the constant hum of the surf, the 3 never hear us coming. I take out the first of the women with a kill strike to the temple. Ben takes down the second woman before pivoting to kill the man. We continue this way down the long stretch of coast, breaking apart and killing the zombies we come across. It feels like we hike for hours through the rain and sand. In truth, my watch shows no more than an hour has passed. A chill racks my body. I realize how cold I am. My hands, feet, lips, and nose are frozen. Hypothermia. We are all at risk, again. Ash almost died from it yesterday. The rain shows no sign of letting up. I need to get everyone into a shelter. We near a curve in the coastline that juts out to sea. I study the line of water, noting the beach ends in less than a quarter mile. We've traveled as far as we can, I call. It's time to climb back up. I can only hope we've covered enough ground to have bypassed the zombie whale watchers. Dull, tired eyes look at me. My heart squeezes. I have to get them out of the rain. Soon. I study the cliff, looking for a way out. Through the mist and rain, a set of wooden stairs materializes. I blink and wipe water out of my eyes, wondering if I'm hallucinating. But no. The set of stairs remains. I hesitate, fear of what might lie at the top of the stairs making me search for another way up. Then I take in the shivering forms of my people. Everyone, including myself, is cold to the bone. We need the fastest way out of here. Stay alert, I tell them. Keep your weapons out. We're taking the stairs. With any luck, we won't find a seething mass of zombies at the top. (9) shelter. Eric.
Thunder rolls through the clouds, vibrating the air around me. Lightning splits the sky. Rain hammers the top of my head. I'm cold. Not normal cold, where you just need to throw on a jacket or a thicker pair of socks. This is bone cold. A chill that has seeped through my skin and lodged in my body like a parasite. This is what Ash must have felt like when she got hypothermia. When Kate leads us up the wooden steps embedded into the face of the cliff, I don't argue. There might be zombies at the top, but all I can think about is getting warm. I try to focus on my surroundings, but I keep hearing my brother's voice. Tom.
Why are you wasting time with those toasters?
2 years older than me, Tom was every parent's dream child. Varsity athlete, salutatorian of his graduating class. He was accepted into the competitive engineering department of Cal Poly right out of high school. He was everything I wasn't. Hard-working, goal-oriented, good-looking. Despite our differences, we got along. Having Tom as an older brother kept things easy for me. Mom and Dad were always so swept up in his accomplishments, they never paid much attention to my lackluster grades. If I wanted to spend the afternoon taking apart toasters from the Salvation Army to see how they worked, they'd been too busy heading off to one of Tom's baseball games to care. Tom noticed, though.
Why are you wasting your time with those toasters? You should sign up for a robotics class.
That was Tom. He had the long view nailed. He had drive. I wasn't a fan of hard work. It didn't take long for me to locate the smartest kids in my high school. After that, it was only a matter of figuring out what motivated them. Amy liked shopping at Macy's. I introduced her to one of Tom's friends who worked there. Her name had been Darcy. Darcy had a crush on my big brother. She agreed to pass along her employee discount to Amy. For the next 2 years, Amy wrote all my term papers. Jim was consumed with gods of war, but pretty much sucked at video games. He had some sort of disorder that limited his hand-eye coordination. I'd go over to his house and play the game while he watched. In return, he did my math homework.
Stop wasting your time getting everyone to do your work for you,
Tom used to say.
Spend that time improving yourself instead.
I always figured Tom would grow up to be one of those multi-million-dollar motivational speakers. A shiver travels through my body. I swing my arms, trying to work warmth into the limbs. My fingers are numb. My lips are numb. I watched hypothermia take Ash down yesterday. I have no doubt this is what's happening to me now.
Things are going to get worse before they get better.
That was Tom's last text message to me before we lost electricity and my phone died.
You can't rely on someone else to do the work for you this time. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to die.
He'd been right, of course. It had taken Kate to help me see that. I wish I could talk to Tom. I want him to know I've grown up over the last 6 months. I want him to know I'm not a freeloader anymore.
Hey!
Ash pokes me in the back.
Keep moving, Slowpoke.
I lurch, realizing I've been standing in place the last 20 seconds. I force myself to move.
I'm less successful at banishing Tom's voice. You need to work hard at your own shit instead of manipulating everyone to do it for you. You'll get a lot farther in life, Eric.
Overlaying his voice is Lila's.
You're a fucking con, Eric.
Tom would have liked Lila. He would have told me to listen to her. I climbed the last step as more thunder and lightning ripped the sky. We're in another parking lot. I rub a wet sleeve across my glasses, trying to get a better look at our surroundings. There are cars in this lot, but it's not packed like the one where the whale festival had been. There are zombies, No more than a dozen. But right now, that's way more than I'm comfortable with. But between the thrum of the rain on the metal cars and the roar of the ocean, none detect our entrance into the lot.
We go around them.
Kate murmurs.
Kill any that get too close.
Her face is bleached white, fatigue pinching the edges of her eyes while her teeth chatter. I have no doubt she's twice as exhausted as the rest of us. We only have to worry about ourselves. Kate worries about all of us. She holds one hand above her eyes, shielding it from the rain.
We're heading toward that row of houses.
She points to the line of one-story bungalows on the far side of the road.
We'll find a place to wait out the storm and resupply.
Kate cuts a wide swath around the parking lot, keeping us away from the zombies that moan and sway in the rainstorm. The wild grass that grows all along the coast is bent low from the deluge. We tramp through it in a long line, wending our way to the road. Warm blankets, dry clothes. I don't even care about food, even though I feel hungry enough to clean out a Las Vegas buffet. We reach the road unmolested. Nearby are 2 abandoned cars, both empty. That one? Ben points to a pink house with a sagging porch and weeds that grow up to the windows. That one looks deserted. They all look deserted to me, but I don't argue with Ben. The guy's sixth sense is freaky good. We hurry toward the house, dashing across the street in a tight huddle. Something moves in my periphery. I freeze, turning to look. Water sheets across my glasses, making it difficult to see. What is it? Reed slows next to me. I saw something move. I squint into the carport of the pink house. There are piles of crap everywhere. I can't see very well, but I saw something move. Ben shoulders up beside me. Zom? He squints into the gloom. It didn't move like a zom. Besides, if it had been a zombie, it would still be bumping around.
You 3 check it out, Kate tells us. Make sure the yard is clear. The rest of us will clear the inside of the house.
Ben scowls, clearly not wanting to be separated from Kate. Ash, catching the look, steps forward.
You go with Kate,
she says.
I'll go with the niños.
Who you callin' niño? Reed asks.
You, Piquito niño. Come on.
She pushes past us with her weapons drawn, moving into the carport in a crouch. Ash is hot, like Lara Croft hot. The hotness is only accentuated with the rain plastering clothing to her body. Will Caleb ever make a move on her? I can't tell if they're into each other or just good friends. Tom would like Ash. He liked tough girls. In high school, he dated a voluptuous hot chick who got it into her head that she wanted to play varsity football. She'd been meaner and tougher than all the guys combined. Tom said it was her way of asserting gender equality. Maybe I should run to Cal Poly and find Tom. The idea flits through my mind. Dude, Reed elbows me. Stop zoning out. Pay attention, man. I shake myself. Why can't I get Tom out of my head? Sorry, I mutter. I keep thinking about my brother. I get it. I think about my family a lot too, but we need your A-game, brother. The 3 of us sweep through the carport, picking our way around piles of crap. A rotting sofa, a rusty treadmill, several plastic tubs stacked high with faded plastic flower pots, an old tricycle with a missing wheel. It's easy for me to take it all in without rain sheeting across my glasses.
These people were hoarders,
Ash says. That bodes well for us if they stocked up on food, Reed replies. I hope they have Kraft mac and cheese, I say. That particular dish always makes me think of Lila. Something scurries over my foot. I jump, my knife clattering to the ground. Raccoon. Ash raises her brow at me as the animal disappears under a tarp at the far end of the carport.
Good thing that wasn't a zombie, or you'd be dead.
Shit. I need to focus and make sure this carport is clear. I let out a shaky breath and retrieved my knife. At least now we know what I saw moving around in here. Any of you guys ever eat raccoon before?
Don't even think about it,
Ash replies.
You'd have to shoot it to catch it, and that would just bring zombies.
Reed stares at the tarp concealing the raccoon.
Fresh meat sounds good, though, doesn't it?
No way, dude. I gave his shoulder a shove. Be content with the bear meat in your pack. Hunting was yet another thing Tom excelled at. I went along on the trips with our dad because I didn't have a choice, but I never had a lot of interest in creeping around in the forest before dawn. I preferred being in the tent with a thermos of hot chocolate. What would Tom do if he were here? Would he try to catch the raccoon? I can just see him sauntering into the pink house with a brace of dead raccoons over one shoulder. Everyone would fawn over him and thank him for the fresh meat. That was Tom. Always the star, without even trying. He never knew how to be anything else.
Come on.
Ash slaps me on the arm.
It's clear in here. There's nothing in the backyard but dead plants and a rusted swing set. And that raccoon. Let's get the hell out of this storm.
As we head back to the pink house, another peal of thunder rolls through the sky. The concussive boom vibrates the hair on my arms. Lightning forks the sky. And just for a second, I swear I see Tom's silhouette in the gloom. I blink, staring through the rain, realizing just how wiped out and exhausted I am. My brother isn't here. I'm seeing things. I need to get out of the cold and warm up. Hunching my shoulder against the downpour, I hurry after Ash and Reed.
"10. Pink House. Kate. The pink house is abandoned. There are no corpses inside, dead or undead. It smells like a regular abandoned house, rank with rotting food and musty from being closed up. Dirty breakfast dishes are piled in the sink, mold growing on the old food, hence the stink. But there are no signs of a family that left in a panic. All the clothes are neatly folded in the drawers and hanging in the closets. A neat row of shoes sits in a rack by the front door. Based on the various sizes, I can see a family once lived here.
"There's a boys' room and a girls' room,"
Reed calls from down the hall. Ash hustles around Reed, an armload of towels in her arms. She passes them out.
"The water heater is full," she says.
"The water won't be hot, but we can at least get clean." I take the towel she hands me, grateful for a chance to clean up. I kick off my shoes and peel off my wet socks. The first order of business is to get dry and find a new set of clothes. My salt-encrusted pants, shirt, and sports bra have to go. The bedroom shared by the parents is only slightly larger than the kids' rooms. I find stretch pants that mostly fit. They're too long, as is the long-sleeve shirt, but they'll do. The sports bra, I find, is a little big, but a safety pin is enough to cinch it smaller. Once changed, I head to the kitchen. Ben is already there, dressed in jeans and a long-sleeve shirt. The sight stops me in my tracks. He looks good. The shirt is snug, showing off the contours of his chest and biceps. The jeans hug his hips, and I jerk up my eyes, feeling my face heat as I realize where I was looking. At least Ben is too busy piling canned food on the kitchen table to notice. He glances up at me, pausing to run a hand over the stubble at his chin. When he sees the look on my face, he grimaces.
It's sorta like seeing the clown without his makeup on."
He gestures to the jeans and plain green shirt. He doesn't remotely resemble a clown. But I decide to go with it instead of confessing to what I really think. I've never seen you out of your fatigues. His nose wrinkles.
"I don't usually admit it when I'm wrong, but I'm going to. Just this once. I am chafed to high hell from the fatigue pants."
It takes all my effort not to laugh at the expression on his face. The situation really isn't funny. Jeans are the last thing you should be wearing. Your skin needs oxygen flow to heal. I saw a few pairs of men's sweatpants in a drawer. I pluck at the ones that hang from my hips. They'll probably fit you.
"I'll look for them after we eat."
He buries his head in one of the cupboards to look for food. I test the stove, letting out a yelp of glee when a blue flame licks to life. We have gas! We can make hot water!
"Gas?"
Ben lifts an eyebrow.
"That's interesting. Guess no one had a chance to shut it down."
Yay for us and hot food, I reply. We spend the next 15 minutes bustling around the tiny kitchen, attempting not to bump into one another. The entire scene feels freakishly domestic. If we weren't in the apocalypse, the two of us could be cooking together in a kitchen somewhere, preparing a meal. Cooking real food, not heating up canned stuff. I can almost see a life like that with Ben. Almost. It's hard to imagine a normal life ever again, but if I could, Ben would be in it. I bury these thoughts and sort through a box of tea bags. I opt for chamomile. We could all use something to help us relax, plus it will warm us up. By the time the others are dry and changed, we have a glorious meal of tea and hot food. There's a mixture of canned peas and carrots in one pot. Another holds 10 packages of top ramen. Ben found a whole case of chili in the cupboard, which we also heated up. Everyone grabs cups and bowls and digs in. We eat like the pack of half-starved ultra-runners that we are. We plow through the food in less time than it took to heat it up. After that, everyone falls to rummaging in the cupboards and pantry. Potato chips, boxes of crackers, and jars of peanut butter find their way onto the table. Thunder rolls overhead, loud and fierce. It's a bona fide summer thunderstorm out there. Just great. I hope for a dry patch to finish our journey to Bragg's. The last thing I want is to get everyone dry only to shove them all back out into the rain. Time for showers and first aid, I say. I have no doubt we all have our fair share of blisters, chafe marks, and other physical ailments among us. Then we sleep for 2 hours and get back on the road. We're 4 hours past Fort Ross's deadline. If we're going to have any chance of saving Alvarez and his people, we can't afford to rest longer. I collect needles, Band-Aids, and all other first aid supplies I can find, then set up a makeshift infirmary in the living room. I lance blisters and wrap the tender spots with bandages. I clean cuts and scrapes gathered out on the trail. I even pick off a few ticks from people. Considering what my people have been through, the wounds aren't that bad. There's not much to be done for chafe marks besides a hydrogen peroxide wash and a smear of petroleum jelly. Ben refuses to let me see how bad things are when it's his turn, but he does change into sweats when I suggest it a second time. The angry red marks under Ash's sports bra make me wince, but she never complains. After I finish treating everyone, I wash and change into clean clothes. By then, most of the others have settled down for our short respite. I look for a place to sleep. I peer into the girls' room. Ash is on the twin bed under a pink-flowered bedspread. Caleb is on the floor wrapped in a thick quilt. Eric has the twin bed in the little boys' room, while Reed lays on the floor wrapped in blankets. There's another room with a bed, I tell him. You don't have to sleep on the floor. Reed cocks an eyebrow at me.
The big bed is for you, Mama Bear.
You and the old man, Caleb says from the girls' room.
You guys are boyfriend and girlfriend now, remember?
Eric snickers.
That definitely comes with perks.
Reed gives me a thumbs up and a big grin. Oh. Consternation sweeps through me, making my face hot. I feel like I'm on display in the worst way. I turn on my heel, planning to head to the couch, and run smack into Ben. I hadn't realized he'd been standing behind me. I stare up at him. There is no doubt in my mind he heard everything that was just said. Even if he wasn't standing 2 feet behind me, this is a very, very tiny house. I want him. I want his touch and his kisses as much as I've ever wanted anything. But something inside holds me back. I might be 40, but I was pregnant and married by the time I was 19. I've only been with one man in my life. As much as I want Ben, I'm nervous about it. Especially with 4 other people in a house with paper-thin walls. I swallow, hoping I don't make a mess of things. Ben, he rests his hands on my shoulders, silencing me with a look that is surprisingly tender.
I had to kill a bear to get a decent kiss out of you, he says. I never assumed it would be any easier to get you in bed. I'll sleep on the couch.
I stare at his retreating back, mouth sagging open. His words are gruff. From anyone else they would have been crass. But I know Ben well enough to understand he's making a genuine effort to be a gentleman.
Come on, old man,
Caleb says from the bedroom.
How much easier do we have to make it for you?
Fuck you. You could at least try,
Reed calls from the other room.
I mean, there's a big bed for you guys. When do you think you're going to get a big bed again? All we have back at Creekside are bunk beds.
This brings hoots and laughter from both rooms. If I stand here any longer, I might die of embarrassment. I follow Ben into the living room. I hover in the doorway, looking across the room at him. He looks back at me from his seat on the oversized couch.
I'll keep first watch. I don't sleep much anyway.
He raises his voice.
I'll wake one of the little shitheads when it's their turn to keep watch. We heard that,
Eric says.
That was the point, shithead.
Do you guys need an instructional video?
Reed asks. I bet we could find a porno somewhere around here. We could try the master.
No, Ben and I say in unison.
Suficiente,
Ash says.
Shut your mouth, Reed.
I lean against the wall and gather myself. There's no way I can sleep after all this. Ben is watching me to see what I will do. I don't want things to be weird between us. We're finally at a point where things aren't awkward. Making up my mind to keep it that way, I cross the room and sit beside him on the couch. He looks at the 6 inches of space that separates us.
I gave you the bed, Kate. The least you can do is give me this.
He gestures to the gap. He's right. I owe it to him. Besides that, I don't want space between us. I scoot over, closing the gap. Even through the fabric of our clothing, I feel the heat from his body. It sends a shiver through me.
Ignore the little shitheads.
He puts an arm around me and pulls me close. Tension leaches out of me. My muscles relax. I slide my arms around his waist and rest my head on his shoulder. For once, I'm in agreement on the nickname.
We heard that,
Eric calls.
We are not shitheads. Mind your own goddamn business.
Ben's voice is almost a shout. He manages to choke back the volume just as another round of thunder crashes overhead. The entire situation is ludicrous. Laughter shakes my shoulders. After a moment, Ben's chest rattles with a silent chuckle. We sit in comfortable silence. I soak in the warmth of his body, listening to the rain drum on the roof and windows.
"What if it's still raining in 2 hours?"
he asks. I hold up my watch for him to see. The time reads 28 hours and 36 minutes. That's how long it's been since we last spoke to Alvarez. I'm hoping we can get to Fort Ross in another 24 hours, 36 at most.
"So you really are going to march us back out into the rain in a few hours, if it doesn't let up?"
I hope it doesn't come to that. But yes, lives depend on us. I don't like running in the rain any more than you, but it's manageable.
"Ash almost died of hypothermia."
He covers my hand with his.
"You're still cold."
Did I ever tell you about the time I ran the bear? He shakes his head.
"Is that one of your crazy ultra races?"
Yeah. It was 100-miler that started in Utah and ended in Idaho. I got caught in a snowstorm. My legs had frostbite when I crossed the finish line, but I finished. He snorts.
"No wonder you have such a warped perspective on what the human body can endure."
I think it's everyone else who has the warped perspective, I reply. We all had easy lives before the zombies. Most people don't understand how much they're capable of. That's what I'm trying to teach these kids. He shifts. I sense him looking down at me. I tilt my chin up to meet his gaze.
"I love how crazy you are."
His murmur washes over me. I close my eyes as he leans down to kiss me. Our first kiss was a disaster. A drunken impulse on my part that surprised Ben and ended awkwardly. Our second kiss had been fueled by terror and adrenaline after Ben killed the black bear that attacked our camp on the Lost Coast. Our third kiss, under the Candelabra Grove, had been pure magic. This kiss is long, deep, and lingering. I allow the world and all my worries to melt away, if only for a few perfect moments. His arms feel safe. His arms feel good. Ben is the first to break away. He pulls back to look at me.
"Sleep here with me on the couch. I'll watch over you."
I like the idea of staying close to him. After kissing him one last time, I curl up on my side with my head on his thigh. He drapes a blanket over me and settles a strong hand on the curve of my waist. I fall asleep in seconds, feeling warm and safe. "11. New regime. Jessica." Shortly after Rosario's takeover, our entire group is locked inside one of the original Fort Ross structures. It's a single-story home known as the Rotchev House. We've been in here for hours. The Rotchev House isn't large by any stretch of the imagination. It was never designed for 55 people. The rooms of the house bleed into each other without any modern sense of organization. I've taken up position beside one of the windows at the back of the house. The glass is old, the world beyond wavering and uneven when seen through it. Around me are whispers and murmurs. People have broken up into clumps. Some huddle together on the floor, consoling one another. Others pace, talking in low voices, planning. Alvarez has a plan. Apparently, he had people stash weapons all over the fort. There are even a few screwdrivers under loose planks in the kids' room of this house. He left out a big box of booze for Rosario's people to find. When they celebrate their takeover of the fort, we'll strike back. It's a shaky plan at best. Rosario's people have firepower. A lot of firepower. And it's not just fuckheads with guns we have to worry about. They've brought 12 zombies into the fort, all of them leashed like the one that bit Sean. What sort of deranged idiot brings zombies inside her home? No matter what, we're going to lose people. I watch Rosario's people scuttle through the grounds, ransacking the buildings, tents, and motorhomes. 2 women enter an RV, shrieking with triumph as they deck themselves out in new clothes. They toss things out onto the scrub grass that grows in patches around the fort. An old shoebox spills 12 books across the ground. I shift my gaze past the desecration of our home. It cuts to the bleeding figure tied to the laundry pole near the well. The worst part is that Sean is still alive, suffering and dying slowly. My eyes ache, as though I've spent hours sobbing. Though in truth I haven't cried since the day my daughters died.
I'm sorry about Sean.
A teenage girl leans up against the other side of the window across from me, watching the pillaging. She sniffles, scrubbing at the tears that leak down her cheek.
I know you guys aren't married anymore, but still, I'm sorry.
She swallows, throat convulsing as she suppresses a sob. Sometimes it's hard to look at the teenager with dirty blonde hair. Stephanie is her name. Steph. She looks nothing like either of my girls. I don't see an older version of Claire and May when I look at her. It doesn't matter. I still see a girl who survived. It's impossible not to think of Claire and May when I'm around her. I should respond to Steph, but I don't know how. Bitter words curl on the end of my tongue. I refrain from dumping them on an innocent teenager. I'm not that messed up. Yet. Steph was in the original group who'd come here with Alvarez in the beginning. I'd heard snippets of the story, of how Alvarez rescued her family from a van stuck on a freeway and surrounded by zombies. It wasn't so different from the story of how Alvarez rescued me and Sean from an abandoned station wagon north of Fort Ross. Except both my girls were already dead when he found us. Alvarez never had a chance to save them.
Hey, guys.
My eyes flick to Bella, who joins me and Steph at the window. She's the only other teenage girl in Fort Ross. Bella and Steph are bound through age and gender, though as far as I can tell that's the most they have in common. Bella was one of those popular kids when there were still high schools. She reeks of confidence. It's no stretch of the imagination to see her dating the high school quarterback, getting straight A's and running for student body president. Steph, on the other hand, is more of the shy study bug type. She follows Bella around like a puppy. Even more so since the day she'd been kidnapped by one of Rosario's men. At the time, we hadn't known about Rosario. 2 of her scouts had stumbled onto our community and snatched Steph and another woman named Chris from the gardens. Chris never made it back. She'd been raped and later shot when she'd tried to escape. Alvarez got there before the men could start in on Steph. Another 10 minutes and it might have been too late for her. The experience had tethered Steph even more tightly to Bella. She puts on a good fake smile and pretends everything is okay, but it's all bullshit. That girl isn't okay by a long shot. Tears trickle down Steph's cheeks as she takes in Sean's slack, bleeding form on the laundry pole.
I'm so sorry, Jessica.
She chokes on a sob as she speaks. I want to walk away from the girls, but there aren't a lot of other places for me to squeeze into. And as much as I want to scream and beat my fists on Sean's chest, the idea of not being able to see him makes my heart cramp.
Are you okay?
Bella asks. I look away without answering. No, I am not okay. I haven't been okay for a long time.
He's such a good person,
Steph whispers.
I'm so sorry.
Their sympathy makes me want to break something. I feel Alvarez enter the room before I see him. I can tell by the rustle of activity near the doorway when he's near. I switch my attention to him, glad for the distraction. I watch him move through the room. His shoulders bend as he pauses to speak and offer words of comfort to each and every person. The people love him. They sit up a little straighter when he's near. I see the way his words transform people. They don't strip away fear, but they do leave everyone with a sliver of hope in their eyes. I look away when he drifts in my direction. I don't want his comfort.
You girls doing okay?
Alvarez has a warm smile for Bella and Steph.
What are we going to do?
Steph asks. She, in particular, idolizes Alvarez for saving her family and getting them to Fort Ross.
I know things are scary right now, Steph, but I promise you, we're going to get through this.
The words roll off his tongue like honey, a balm to her fear.
Jessie?
He turns his attention to me. Besides Sean, Alvarez is one of the few people who calls me Jessie. It stirs something inside me every time he does it. I ignore the feeling, giving him a flat stare. I don't need this man to sugarcoat anything for me. I know how fucked up our situation is.
Jessie.
His voice trails off as he stares out the window at Sean.
Jessie,
I hold up a hand to silence him, shaking my head. I know where the blame for this situation lies. It was all Sean's doing. Besides, rehashing it isn't going to make Sean any less dead. How long is Rosario going to leave him strung up on the laundry pole? Until he turns? The idea makes my stomach hurt. The time it takes an infected person to turn varies. I've seen it happen in several hours, like it did with my daughters. I've seen it take 3 to 4 days on adults. Sean could be out there for days. I fist my hands, wishing I could smash them through the glass. Alvarez's smile stiffens. I admire him for even trying with me. I'm not the nice housewife I used to be once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away.
Sean asked me to look after you,
Alvarez murmurs.
I intend to do that.
I don't laugh in his face, though I want to. His words confirm my suspicion that Sean knew he was sacrificing himself. He wouldn't have extracted that promise otherwise. You don't have to look after me. You have all these other people to look after. I don't bother telling him I don't care if I live or die anyway. Alvarez refuses to be rebuffed by my coldness. His hand comes up to rest on the side of my cheek. The unexpected tenderness freezes me in place.
I know you're hurting, Jessie. We're going to get through this.
For the barest second I dare to look at his face, into his eyes. A woman less fucked up than me could lose herself in those soft black eyes. Is it any wonder half the women in the fort are infatuated with him? He gives me a gentle smile before moving on. Steph and Bella fold together, huddling on the ground with their arms around one another. I stay where I am. I don't know how long I stand at the window, watching the blood drip out of Sean's body. There will always be a part of me that hates every fiber of him for breaking my heart. The fact that he's leaving me a second time, in a more permanent fashion this time, makes me hate him all the more. Even so, I'd trade places with him in a heartbeat. "12. Assholes live forever." Jessica. A ripple of commotion runs through the old Rotchev house. At first I think it's Alvarez once again moving through the rooms to spread his kind smile and words of comfort. Except it doesn't take long to discern there's a different edge to the ripple. A sharp sting of fear hits me.
"Everyone out!"
bellows a shrill woman's voice. Jeannie. I'd recognize her voice anywhere. She's the bitch with the zombie who bit Sean.
"I want every last one of you outside and on the ground in 5 minutes. I'll shoot someone for every extra minute it takes. The timer starts now."
A single second of stunned silence hangs in the air. Then every person surges toward the single exit provided to us. I position myself just behind Bella and Steph. A worry for them has been growing in my mind. Steph barely escaped the last time Rosario's goons got their hands on her. What's going to happen to her now? To her and Bella. I'm not stupid enough to think I can provide any sort of protection against men with guns, but I stick close to them anyway. Once upon a time, my whole world had been built on taking care of Sean and my girls. If I'm honest with myself, I miss it. Desperately. I miss making little ham and cheese sandwiches on sliced whole wheat with the crust cut off for Claire. I miss cutting out paper gingerbread men for May's class. I even miss ironing Sean's shirts. Up until the apocalypse, I'd always assumed my calling in life was to be a housewife. It had been a great gig. We rush outside into the open dirt area around the old stone well. Sean's head lolls to one side, eyes slit as he watches us. Armed men and women form a lopsided circle. Jeannie waves us into the circle with her gun. She has on a new shirt that reads, "Assholes live forever."
"Into the circle, assholes!"
she shouts.
"Anyone who tries anything stupid will be shot. No warnings, no questions asked. Everyone on your knees with hands behind your head."
I jostle Steph and Bella toward the center of the circle. Maybe if they're in the thickest part of the group, no one will notice them. "Keep your heads down," I murmur to them. "Don't make eye contact." I surreptitiously take note of our situation. 4 men and 3 women contain us in the lopsided circle, each of them with a leashed zombie. There are more perched on the rooftops of the surrounding RVs, every last one armed with multiple weapons. More people stroll about, all of them also armed.
30 seconds.
Jeannie taps her wrist to emphasize the time, even though she doesn't wear a watch.
Chop, chop.
Fear and terror ripples through our people. I put my hands on the backs of Bella and Steph and push them to the ground. I drop to my knees beside them.
Nice.
Jeannie rests her automatic in the crook of her arm to applaud us.
12 seconds to spare. We're going to get along famously if you can keep this up.
In my right periphery is Sean. His head has lolled to the other side, but other than that, he hasn't moved or made a sound. In my left periphery is Alvarez. He's also on his knees, playing the part of the cowed subject. I've spent enough time with him to know he's taking advantage of this moment to size up our situation, to look for anything we could use to our advantage in the future. It doesn't take a genius to see there's no advantage here. Rosario had us outgunned and outsmarted from the beginning. Some of us are going to have to die. It's the only way out of this situation. There are no fairy tale endings in the apocalypse.
Slaves.
Rosario stands on top of an RV, staring down at us with her hands on her hips. Her voice cracks through the air like a whip.
You're all familiar with the generic meaning. I'm referring to the pre-Civil War meaning of the word, American slaves. You are the first of a new generation. Get used to it.
Slaves. I taste the truth of that word on my tongue. Slaves.
The only good slave is a useful slave,
Rosario continues. The ruffles of her wide cotton dress puff up in the wind.
Anyone who doesn't serve a purpose will be repurposed.
The lackeys with the zombies waggle their long poles, causing the zombies to moan and swipe at the empty air in front of them. Our community contracts in response, all of us squishing closer together in the dirt.
There's only one rule: obedience in all things.
Rosario faces us, hands on her hips.
Just in case any of you have any ideas about being a hero. Anyone who defies me or my people will be beaten without question. If you survive that, you'll be required to choose one among your fellow slaves to submit to death by zombie. If you don't survive...
She grins as the people shrink further into the ground at her words.
Well, if you don't survive, my girl Jeannie will pick one among you to join your fearless leader on the post.
Sean.
I'll leave you with that warning,
Rosario says.
You get to decide whether or not I'm bluffing.
She's not bluffing. Anyone can see that. And there isn't a soft face among her followers.
Now,
Rosario continues,
we need able-bodied men and women who can fish. You will be expected to bring in a quota of food every day. Volunteers?
Eyes dart back and forth, heads turn. A hand creeps into the air. Andrew. He's out on the fishing boats almost every day. A few more hands inch into the air.
You.
Rosario scans the rest of the hands.
And you. Scooby, round 'em up.
Rosario gestures to the man with one of the zombies.
I expect to be dining on fresh fish tonight.
You heard her.
Scooby barks.
Fisherman with me.
Slowly, hesitantly, Andrew and the others rise to their feet and make their way to Scooby.
Now,
Rosario continues,
you can't have fish without people to cook them. Who among you is a decent cook?
Bella and Steph immediately raise their hands. Both have spent their fair share of hours in the communal kitchen. Hands of several older men and women also shoot into the air. Rosario selects 4 people to cook. They're taken to the communal kitchen, which has been set up in the largest of the RVs. Bella and Steph are not among them. I notice 2 men leering in their direction. Sick dread takes root in me. Rosario continues to tick off her list, dividing us into our new roles. It feels like we're in a Sorting Hat horror movie. Cleaners, gardeners, hard labor, maintenance, scavengers. Group by group, our people are led away. Alvarez is among those who volunteer to tend our pathetic gardens outside the gates. He tries to get my attention as he raises his hand, no doubt out of his so-called obligation to Sean to look after me. We both know I have a black thumb. I ignore him and keep my hand down. There are any number of roles I could fill. I don't raise my hand for any of them. Instead, I stay close to Bella and Steph. The 2 of them have raised their hands multiple times but have yet to be chosen. And then the role I've been waiting for. The word crashes over my head like a shattering vase.
Horse.
That brings grins to many faces, including some of Rosario's women.
It's a time-honored tradition for slaves to serve their masters in all capacities.
No one raises their hand.
No volunteers. We'll just have to pick from among those who are left. Darren, pull out a few willing ladies.
Darren, a skinny man with a wicked leer, beelines across the clearing. A sob breaks from Bella's throat. It doesn't take an idiot to know he's heading straight toward her and Steph. I can't let him take the girls. Even though Alvarez has a plan in motion, I can't risk anything happening to them. I'll do it. The hoarse words push themselves past my dry lips. My stomach threatens to empty itself onto my shoes. I volunteer.
That's more like it.
Rosario beams at me.
Darren, help the woman up.
But...
Get the woman up, Darren. She's volunteered, after all.
But what about these 2?
He jerks a sullen chin at Bella and Steph. Bella looks like she'd rather be electrocuted on the spot. Tears of terror streak Steph's face. I'll take care of everyone. Fury beats in my chest as I speak the words. I'm doing the right thing. Someone has to do this. I raise my chin to look at Rosario. I don't care how many. I'll do it.
She's a nympho!
Bellows one of the men with an automatic. Chuckles run through our captors.
No.
A single word rises from Sean's throat. His chin lifts as he looks in my direction. I ignore him. There's 2 of us who can fall on our swords, asshole.
She's either a nympho or a martyr,
Rosario says.
Guess we'll find out. No other volunteers? Well then, if this pretty lady wants the job, it's hers. If she isn't up to the task, we can always institute the draft at a later time.
The threat is clear in her voice.
Darren, take her.
As Darren grabs my arm with a venomous glare, I glance at Steph and Bella. I want to tell the girls these fuckheads can't hurt me. I want them to know there isn't anything worse than what's already been done to me. I want to tell them to find a way to escape and get the hell out of this place. There's no chance. I'm taken to a smaller RV and thrown inside. Darren leers at me with promise in his eyes before slamming the door. "13. Broken glass. Jessica." I stare at the familiar inside of the RV. A postcard is taped there, bits of smeared blood dried on the coastal scene. How ironic that, of all the places chosen for my prison, it's the tiny motorhome I called home for the last few months. I pull the postcard off the door, flipping it over to look at the handwriting on the other side. Most of it is obscured by blood, but the most important part is still legible. Love, May and Claire. Seeing their names, written by them less than a day before they died, almost breaks me. It was a postcard from our camping trip to their grandmother. I sniffle and shove it under the bed cushion. The last thing I want is for one of the dickheads out there to get their hands on the last piece I have of May and Claire. Dread and fury mix inside me at the thought of what's to come. I refuse to let dread get the better of me. I haven't been asked to do anything I can't do. I might not like it, but it can be done. It has to be done. I couldn't save my daughters. Maybe I can save Bella and Steph. I resolve to give it my all. Which means I won't curl up in a ball on the floor and cry. I won't. My mind races. Maybe Alvarez's plan will work. Maybe all the dickheads out there will get shit-faced drunk and we'll kill them all while they're passed out. Sort of like a reverse Trojan horse. It's a long shot at best, but not impossible. I do my best to rage against the fear, but it comes anyway. It makes my entire body shake. I sit down on the narrow bed as tremors rock me. The only saving grace is that no one is around to see me like this. Well, almost no one. Sean and his laundry pole are no more than 10 feet away. The windows of the RV are open, giving him a clear view of me. He's looking in my direction. The sorrow in his gaze breathes life into the inferno I've carried inside me for months. I hang on to it for dear life. "You're not the only martyr out there, Sean," I whisper.
"It's gonna be a party tonight,"
calls a voice. A skinny man with bad teeth comes out from between two tents. In his arms he carries a large cardboard box. Bottles clink inside.
"Look what I found,"
he trills. Rosario's people gather around him. They cackle and crow and gloat, snatching bottles out of the box to pass them around and admire them. My body settles, some of the fear leaching out. Alvarez's plan is already falling into place. Maybe these assholes will start their party right now. Maybe the nightmares will end before full darkness descends. One woman yanks the topper off a bottle. She's just about to take a swig when Rosario marches over. "Stop," she commands. The woman freezes, the bottle halfway to her lips. Rosario jerks it from her hand.
"Where did you find this?" "Over by the sleeping quarters,"
says the man who found the box of booze. His chest swells with importance.
"Right on top of a pallet of canned food." "Uh-huh. And it just so happened to be sitting out in the open where any idiot could find it."
The man shrinks under Rosario's wrath.
"Answer me, Ratty."
"Yes?"
His voice is meek.
These fuckers have been inside here for a full 24 hours. And you think they just so happened to leave their stash of booze out in the open for you to find?
No one answers. Never taking her eyes off her people, Rosario tips the open bottle sideways. Dark brown liquor sluices out onto the ground. Everything inside me compresses as I watch the earth drink our one and only plan of escape. Rosario flings the bottle to the ground. It hits a large rock and shatters. I stare at the shards of glass, feeling like I'm in a million pieces just like that bottle.
Pour them out, Rosario orders. Every last one of them. The only reason the slaves left them out is because they wanted us to find them. They're probably laced with poison.
Muttering in malcontent, Rosario's people comply. I force myself to watch until the last bottle is emptied. I force myself to watch hope disappear. Despair fortifies me. Maybe it's better this way. No hope is better than false hope. Jesse. Sean's voice carries to my ears. I hate the sorrow I hear. I flip him off. The act edges out my dread, making it easier to hold on to the fury. I'm going to need every ounce of it to survive. "14. Smoke. Eric.
Not even the thunder and lightning raging outside of the pink house can keep me awake. I'm asleep within seconds of closing my eyes. I dream of Lila. The dream is always the same. It plays over and over like a subroutine. I see the zombies clamp around her leg. I see the bloody gash in her shin. I see her put the gun to her head and pull the trigger. I see the way the side of her face caves in like a crushed flower. And every time in the dream, my body is stuck, paralyzed. No matter how much I want to move, I can't. I'm forced to stand by and watch Lila do the unthinkable to herself. I relive that moment over and over and over again. It had been like that in real life. When Lila had been bitten, I'd frozen with shock and sorrow. I'd stood there like a spectator while she'd ended her own life. I hadn't been there for her when it really counted. She wasn't wrong when she called me a loser. My eyes fly open. My heart pounds. My eyes are wet. I sit up and scrub them dry. I take in my surroundings, momentarily forgetting where I am and who's with me. Reed sleeps on the floor of the tiny bedroom, wrapped in thick blankets. A faint smell tickles my nose. I sit up, trying to figure out what it is. My abdominal muscles groan at the movement, aching and sore from the long run down the lost coast. The pink house is musty and moldy from being shut up for months, but this is a new smell. It takes me a minute to figure out what it is. When it registers, a jolt of unease goes through me. Smoke. It trickles through the bedroom, caught in the motes of light that filter through the mini blinds. I get out of bed, stepping around Reed. The sore muscles of my legs protest every step of the way. I have chafe marks all around my waist from the running shorts, more around the area where my leg meets my groin. I'm so sore, it feels like my body has been pounded with a hammer. As perverse as it sounds, I kinda like the soreness. It's a reminder of the crazy shit I've survived in the last 24 hours. It's a reminder that I'm a survivor. Out in the living room, I find Kate and Ben on the sofa. Kate is asleep with her head on Ben's lap. Ben's head is tipped back, his jaw hanging loose. A soft snore escapes his mouth. Why they chose a sofa over a functional bed is beyond me. But they look happy together. Around the room is a distinct gray haze. More smoke. It's thicker in here than it had been in the bedrooms. Something is burning. I do a quick check through the house to determine nothing inside is on fire. That's good. But with this much smoke in the house, something nearby is definitely burning. Hey! I give Ben's shoulder a shake. He bolts upright, hands flying automatically to his side. The knife flashes out. I leap back, holding up my arms. Whoa, dude, it's just me. Ben inhales, the sleep clearing from his eyes. Then he glances down at Kate. I fell asleep, he says, looking astounded. I never fall asleep on watch. Something is on fire. See the smoke? I wave my hand around to take in the smoky haze. Shit. Ben gently dislodges Kate from his lap. What's going on? She sits up, rubbing at her eyes. Smoke, I explain. Something outside is burning. That wakes her up. The three of us file onto the porch. It's late afternoon, a few hours before dusk. The smoke outside is thick, clogging the air with a gray haze. The rain has stopped. I scan the road, the nearby houses, and the open land across from us, searching for the source of the fire. I don't see any flames, but there's enough smoke to indicate there's a huge fucking fire somewhere. The lightning probably caught something on fire, Ben says. Where's a fireman when you need them? I mean it as a joke to lighten the mood, but my companions ignore me. Kate's lips are set in a hard line.
Wake everyone up. We're moving out.
Even though the land around us is wet from the storm, the idea of an unchecked wildfire sends a chill through me. We had our fair share of those in California before the apocalypse. I don't want to think about the damage a wildfire could do without anyone to fight it. It takes less than 15 minutes to assemble everyone in the living room. I snag the windbreaker I found in one of the closets, zipping it up under my chin. I'm sick of being cold and wet. I'm not sure how much this jacket will prevent either from happening, but it's worth a try. I also grab a baseball cap to keep water off my glasses if it rains again. Outside, Kate leads us down the road at a brisk jog. My muscles scream in protest. If possible, I'm even more sore now than I was before going to bed last night. No wonder ultra runners don't usually stop to sleep during long races. It's too hard to get going again once your body stiffens up. A survey of my companions tells me everyone is as stiff and sore as I am. Except for Kate, of course. She looks rested and refreshed. We follow a small frontage road that follows the profile of the ocean. The smoke continues to thicken as we run. A cough spills from my throat. Somewhere nearby, a zombie moans.
Try not to cough, Kate whispers. Don't make any sound that will draw attention to us.
She's right, but that's easier said than done. Smoke forces its way down my throat and lungs. I wish I'd thought to ransack the pink house for a handkerchief. I pull the collar of my shirt up to cover my nose. Ahead of us, the road curves away from the ocean and heads into town. Kate peels off the road, heading into the knee-high grass that grows along the coastline. We set across the open land, continuing south. As we pass the bend in the road, I look east into town. A mile away is a strip mall with a Starbucks coffee shop and Denny's. My mouth waters at the sight of the Denny's sign. I wasted many hours of my youth in a Denny's restaurant near my home, hanging out with friends and consuming late-night snacks. What I wouldn't give for a plate of onion rings. Unfortunately, I see staggering forms in the strip mall parking lot. Zombies. Lots of them. And that's not all. The zombies are illuminated by a distinct yellow light that doesn't come from the sun. Fear lurches to life in my chest. Fuck me. Ben halts, staring in the direction of Denny's. That grocery store is on fire. Sure enough, in the same strip mall parking lot is a Safeway. Large flames gout from the back of the store. Keep moving, Kate says. She picks up the pace, leading us southward at a run. My legs swish through the grass, each step triggering every ache and pain in my body. My right foot, which had a blister the size of a large spider on the bottom, hurts more than anything else. The grasses, wet from the rain, soon have my legs and shoes soaked. Water sloshes in the bottom of my shoes. My lungs work overtime, coping with the strain of running and the increasing smoke in the air. It's impossible not to cough. Everyone is coughing. At least we're far enough away from buildings that we don't have to worry about zombies. Or at least, I hope there are no zombies out here lurking in the grass. 15 minutes later, Kate throws up her hand and stops us. Damn it, she growls. This might be the understatement of the year. In front of us, the land drops off in a sheer cliff. Another river separates us from the land to the south of us. It's at least twice as wide as Pudding Creek, and deeper from the looks of things. This one doesn't have zombies standing waist-deep in its waters. Think we can swim across? Caleb is the best swimmer in our group. Doesn't look like there are any zombies in that water. Kate shakes her head. You may be able to swim it, but not the rest of us. Those waters are frigid and the tide is strong. We're going that way. She points east. I follow the line of her finger and spot a bridge spanning the water. I hate to be a negative Nancy, I say, but that bridge is missing half its middle. There's a distinct gap between one side of the bridge and the other. Someone must have blown it in an attempt to keep zombies inside Bragg's.
The gap isn't that big, Kate says. Maybe 4 feet. 5 at the most.
I'm pretty sure I've never jumped a 5-foot gap in my life. I keep my mouth shut only because I don't have a better idea. We shift back into a run, hugging the coastline and heading toward the bridge. Guys, I say, that fire is getting bigger. The flames are now the size of a large house. The strip wall is probably made from old redwood, Ben says. Couldn't ask for a better accelerant. Kate picks up her pace, pushing us harder. Every muscle protests. There's so much pain I can't even pinpoint its origin. I force myself to keep up. The bridge looms near. A road sign names the water Noyo River. Unfortunately, the route to the bridge forces us to pass between 2 hotels. They flank both sides of the road, ready to catch all the tourists that venture into town. The parking lots are jam-packed with cars. They're packed with even more zombies. The monsters are restless. They moan, many of them walking in tight circles as smoke fills the town of Bragg's. A cluster of 5 get into a shoving match. They don't use their hands so much as they ram their chests and shoulders against each other. The good news is that they're so distracted by the smoke and each other that none notice as we steal past them, all of us running hard up the bridge. The last bridge we went over was built to hold a train. This bridge was built to hold cars. Lots of them. It's 4 lanes wide with a margin in the middle. Cars litter the roadway. Some were abandoned, the doors left open as their owners made a run for it. There are 2 pile-ups, each lump of 3 to 4 cars. I squint into the smoke, keeping an eye out for zombies. I grip both of my knives, palms sweaty on the grips. A loud whoomp goes up behind us. I spin around, using my wrist to wipe at the soot on my glasses. A gout of flame shoots into the sky, embers glinting like fireworks. "That was probably a propane tank," Ben says. "We gotta move. This town could go up like a tinderbox, especially with gas still in the pipelines." The explosion sends a ripple through the zombies. Moans and keens rise from their midst. We have to get the hell out of this town. I don't even feel pain anymore. As I race across the bridge spanning the Noyo River, all I feel is panic. 2 zombies lurch into sight around an abandoned car. It's a mom and her teenage daughter. Kate takes the smaller of the 2 in the face with her knife. Ben, by her side, takes out the larger. The body slumped to the ground. I vault over the body of the mother and keep running, pinning my sights on the gap in the bridge. Who builds a town between 2 rivers? What happened to building a town on a nice flat piece of land with no large bodies of water to cross? If I were a king, I would definitely pick a piece of land not surrounded on 2 sides by water. Some people might say this is defensible, but that's not what I call it. I call it boxing yourself in. Fuck that. I glance over my shoulders at the zombies in the hotel parking lots. They've split into 2 groups. A large mass of them moves north toward the fire. The other mass peels off, moving away from the flames, coming up the bridge straight toward us. Leading them is a clicking, caning alpha. Fuck, Caleb huffs, running beside me with Ash on his other side. We are so fucked. We just have to get over the bridge, I huff back. Once we get over the bridge, we'll be safe. The river will protect us from the zombies and the flames. The gap in the road looms before us. Caleb picks up speed, charging toward the gap like a Spartan soldier. I swear, I'd hate that guy for his good looks and natural athleticism if I didn't like him. He barrels past Kate and Ben in a sprint that I'm pretty sure would make an Olympian jealous. The rest of us pant and pump our arms like elementary kids in a game of tag, but none of us can touch Caleb. He pulls ahead, all his focus honed on the break in the freeway. He hits the edge and vaults into the air, flying through the dusky light like a rock fired from the slingshot. He hits the pavement on the other side and rolls, body blurring across the ground from the force of momentum. Seconds later, Kate flies over the edge. She gives a wild shout, her leap nowhere as controlled and focused as Caleb's. As she arcs over the river, I realize she's in jeopardy. Her jump is short. "Kate!" Ben bellows. Her torso hits the edge of the concrete with an audible thud. Her hands scrabble at the blacktop. Her legs kick wildly over open air. 2 things happen at the same time. Caleb rolls to a stop and springs to his feet. At the sight of Kate, he sprints back toward her. At the same time, Ben picks up speed. He charges the gap with the wild determination of an animal. He leaps from the edge, arms windmilling as he flies over the river. Ben hits the pavement on the other side of the gap. He trips, flying forward to roll across the blacktop. Caleb sprints past him in the opposite direction, hands reaching for Kate. Kate manages to get one leg slung over the side of the broken bridge. Caleb grabs her arms and hauls her up the rest of the way. Ben is there a heartbeat later, his shirt and pants torn from the rough landing. Caleb's shirt is torn, too. Ben grabs Kate in a hug while he simultaneously shakes Caleb's hand. Less than 50 miles ago, those 2 hated each other. Now here they are, shaking hands and congratulating each other on a successful jump over the Noyo River. I skid to a halt on the edge of the overpass, staring down at the frothing river. It's a good 200-foot plummet to the water below. My feet feel like concrete. Fear makes my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth. Fuck me. Reed backs away from the gap, shaking his head.
What the fuck? I can't jump over that.
That's not 4 feet. I stare at the jagged abyss that yawns before us. It's not even 5 feet. That's got to be 6 or 7 feet.
Kate made it, Ash argues. If she can make it, we can make it.
She makes it sound like Kate is the limping gazelle at the back of the herd. In truth, Kate is the toughest in our group. The only one who might be tougher is Ben, but that's only because he spent the last 30 years of his life in active military service. Ash backs up from the gap, halting when she's 20 feet away. Gritting her teeth, she charges forward. My palms sweat as she sprints past me, running like a bat out of hell. She lets up a shriek and leaps. Black hair streaks out behind her. Her long legs eat up the empty space. Her arms fling out to either side of her like she's a giant bird of prey. She hits the other side with both feet. The impact sends her tumbling forward, right into Caleb's arms. It's like a scene from a bad romance movie. The handsome guy catches the hot girl after her death-defying leap over the chasm of death. Don't worry, bro. Reed pats my arm. You can jump into my arms. I'll catch you. Without another word, he charges the gap like a kamikaze pilot. Reed is the fastest of us. When he sprints past me, he runs so fast his body blurs. The wind of his passage ripples the hairs on my arm. His body catapults through the smoky air. He sails through it like a bird. The fucker looks like he was born to do this shit. To top it all off, he lands lightly on the other side like a ballet dancer. He throws all his momentum into his feet as he races across the blacktop on his tiptoes. I'm the only one left. The Alpha and its horde of 24 zombies have made their way up the bridge. They're 50 yards away, and closing. Another whoosh goes up behind them, followed by a boom. This time, the flames claw 100 feet into the air. I hear a building collapse. The rumble of falling timber and concrete echoes through the streets. The zombies on the bridge split up, some of them turning to hustle back into the city. Reed told me about the time Kate set fire to downtown Arcata. He said many zombies walked right into the flames, drawn to the heat and sound of the fire. And brags, I'm not so lucky to have all of them turn around. At least half follow the Alpha and continue on their trajectory toward me, moaning and scratching at the air. I stare at the yawning chasm in the bridge, a lump of fear in my stomach. There is no one to make this jump for me. No bargain to be struck to get me out of the terrifying task. Magnificent pot brownies can't get me through this. I don't even have a flask of booze for a quick shot of liquid courage. I flash back to a time before the apocalypse. I sat in the high school bleachers with my parents, watching Tom charge the long jump pit. Of course, Tom was an all-star track athlete, too. He charged the sandy pit as if his life depended on it. That was how Tom did everything. Full speed. I'd never once cried for my brother since the apocalypse hit. I wonder if I should have. But how can I cry if I don't even know if he's alive or dead? If my loser ass is alive, Tom must be alive too. Hell, he's probably rallied the survivors of Cal Poly into a functioning feudal society with proper hygiene. That would be the sort of thing Tom would do. Has he cried for me? He probably thinks I'm long gone, his loser of a little brother lost in the first wave that devastated most of the country. I back away from the gap. I'm not sure if it's so I can get a running head start, or if it's so I can run away from the bridge altogether. except the pack of zombies is heading straight for me. Even if I can get around them, fire is eating its way through Bragg's and all my friends are on the other side of the Noyo River. Quit playing small. Tom's voice growls in my head. Make the leap, little brother. I don't recall Tom ever calling me little brother. Ever. But his voice is clear in my head. So clear it's like he's standing next to me. Which isn't possible, because Tom is kicking ass down at Cal Poly University, while his lame little brother is trying to figure out if he has a better chance against a wildfire and zombies, or whether he can survive a death-defying leap over the water.
Don't be a loser, Eric.
This time it's Lila's voice I hear. She loved calling me that. She would say it if I brought dinner to her room or if I got mad at the Xbox. But she'd say it when I was being a wuss, too. She called me on my shit. Like the week I peed in old water bottles because I was too scared to help anyone haul water from the creek to fill up the toilet bowl.
Don't be a loser, Eric.
Quit playing small, little brother. I'd take one more terrified look over my shoulder at the zombies and the raging fire that storms through the small coastal town of Bragg's.
Eric!
Kate screams. Eric, jump! I turn toward the gap, and I run. I don't see the crushed Coke can until it's too late. My shoe hits it at just the wrong angle as I jump. The metal can slips sideways out from under my foot.